Alright everyone, welcome to the channel. So, in this video I'm going to be teaching you how on TradingView you can compare different asset classes with Bitcoin that you normally wouldn't be able to if you didn't know this trick. So, for example, in this we're going to be looking at how to compare Bitcoin to the M2 money supply. We're going to be looking at how you can compare it to things like the Nasdaq, Tesla, precious metals, the SPY, the stock market, and obviously, like I said, gold, silver, commodities, US oil, these types of things, and Facebook. So, first of all, why would we want to compare Bitcoin to other asset classes? Well, I feel like we always compare BTC USD. Everyone looks at the BTC USD chart, and it doesn't make sense to me why we would measure, the price of Bitcoin against a depreciating asset. So I find it much more interesting to sometimes compare the Bitcoin price action to things like the Nasdaq, to things like Tesla, to things like gold and silver, and see how it is outperforming them. So let's jump right into the video and I'll show you how you can get these charts over on your TradingView. So if you do click on the add symbol, what you're normally probably used to is just simply typing in something like BTC USD, BTC ETH, and you'll find the chart that you want. But if you type in, for example, BTC NDQ, which NDQ is the ticker symbol for the Nasdaq, so we would be comparing Bitcoin to the Nasdaq, you can simply see there is unfortunately no chart for it. If we wanted to compare Bitcoin to gold, you can see we're not able to. We can compare PAXG to BTC, and I believe PAXG is a cryptocurrency that aims at maintaining the value of 1 ounce of gold. I believe so, don't take my word for that, but that's not what this video is about. You can see if we try and compare Bitcoin to Tesla as well, these are just things that we are unfortunately unable to compare with. So I'm going to show you how we can compare, and I'm going to start by comparing BTC USD with gold, and or rather Bitcoin with gold and Bitcoin with silver. So for this, because I already have these charts over on this TradingView, I'm going to go over to my other TradingView and I'm going to show you from here how we would get these assets. So first of all, have an asset in mind. What are you trying to compare it to? Are you trying to compare it to Tesla, to gold, to Microsoft, to Netflix, to Facebook? Remember the ticker symbol. The ticker symbol is, simply the couple of letters that define what that cryptocurrency or stock is. So for example, Bitcoin, the ticker symbol for Bitcoin is BTC. The Nasdaq, the ticker symbol for the Nasdaq is NDQ. So let's compare it with gold, because I think gold is a great thing to compare Bitcoin to. So what you're going to want to do, turn on caps and simply type in index, put in this symbol, the colon, and then type in BTC USD / and then this is when you want to enter the asset that you want to compare it to. So just to make this simple, I'm just going to copy this just for later, but let's type in gold, and then you'll notice there is no chart. That is completely fine. All you want to do is hit enter on your keyboard. So bang, gonna hit enter, and now as we can see, this chart has appeared, and I'm going to go over to the weekly time frame just to kind of see how this one plays out. But you can see this is the chart of Bitcoin versus gold. Now you might be noticing, the numbers might seem a bit strange. Like, what does 16.3 mean? Well, 16.3, it's the same as the valuation of gold over here. Gold is $1,825 on this chart, and that is the equivalent to 1 troy ounce of gold in USD valuation. So when you see 16.3 on this BTC chart, this simply means that Bitcoin has a valuation of 16.3 troy ounces of gold. And if we go back, you can see, previously it had 15. If we put this on a logarithmic growth curve scale, you can see its first cycle down here was not even worth a gram of gold. Here it was worth an ounce of gold. Here it was worth, 16.5 ounces of gold. And in the most recent top, you can see it was worth about almost 34 ounces of gold. So like I said, this is very interesting to kind of see how these different assets compare against Bitcoin. So once again, like I said, I'm just going to copy and paste what I had before, but here it is. Make a note of this, write it down in your notes, write it down somewhere. I've memorized it by now, but simply index this colon symbol and then BTC USD slash. And then I want to compare it to something else. I want to compare it to Facebook. So we're going to be typing in FB. Once again, we're going to hit enter because it isn't going to pull up a chart. We're pulling up an index of the BTC USD here, and we're comparing it to different asset classes. So we're not, this is going to be the valuation of BTC USD over Facebook. And let's jump right into this one. So you can currently see, if we scroll back up, 1 unit or 1 stock of Facebook is coming in at around $201 US. So you can see if we extrapolate this price, this simply means on the BTC Facebook chart that 148, which it is approximately at right now, would simply mean that 1 Bitcoin is equivalent to 148 stocks or 148 units of stock worth of Facebook. Let's do 1 or 2 more just so we're all 100% sure we've got the hang of this. So once again, index colon BTC USD. I'll just show you once again. Very simple. BTC USD / and then I want to compare things to Tesla this time. And once again, chart isn't going to show up. We're just going to hit enter anyway. And as you'll see down here, we've got a new chart appearing. Now, this one you might be thinking, is this chart right? Because, our top was in 2017 and we really didn't see a bull run here. And yes, this is right. This is why I do love comparing Bitcoin against other asset classes, because you can actually see in recent years, but very much predominantly since 2017, there really hasn't been more than, 1 week's worth of price action all the way up at the top here, where Tesla has been underperforming against Bitcoin. You can actually see if we come over to Tesla, since 2019, but especially since Bitcoin topped out somewhere around about this 2017, Bitcoin obviously went in a parabolic landslide to the downside at that moment in time, and Facebook really didn't do anything apart from go up and sideways. And then after that, 2019, it had a mass explosion. So like I said, it is interesting to compare Bitcoin against other asset classes, because when you compare Bitcoin against the US dollar all the time, you might think, Bitcoin is the most euphoric asset class in the entire world. It only goes up, but we're measuring against the US dollar, which is a depreciating currency. In the last 2 years, as of the time of recording this video, 80% of the dollars that are in circulation were printed in the last 2 years. So absolutely ridiculous. This is why I love comparing against different asset classes. And one last thing, so like I said, you can compare this with the Nasdaq if you want. You can compare it with Tesla, any stocks, or should I say most stocks. There have been 1 or 2 exceptions in TradingView that I have not managed to compare them against. Some charts do just not want to load, and that is fine, but the majority of stocks, the majority of commodities, assets, and things trading on TradingView, you will be able to compare these against. So let's talk about the M2 money supply, because here it is not simply M2 money supply, you've got WM2NS. So once again, W2MNS, and then we're going to hit enter. So I must have entered this wrong. W2MNS. Oh, it's WM2NS, my bad. WM2NS. WM2NS, and then you can see this is the M2 money stock. This is not the chart you want. You simply want to hit enter one more time, and boom, we're going to remove that other chart simply by clicking this X symbol here, and then we're going to click on our new chart, and you can see this is Bitcoin against the M2 money supply. And once again, you might be thinking, why would we compare Bitcoin against the M2 money supply? Well, it's for a very simple reason. If we look at the BTC USD chart, what do you notice about the price? We have not come back to the 2017 all-time high, but when we account for Bitcoin and the money supply, when we get the valuation of Bitcoin and divide it by the M2 money supply, This accounts for inflation, and you can see that accounting for inflation, Bitcoin is actually back at its previous all-time high. What does this tell us about the data? Well, it simply tells us that the only reason why BTC isn't down at $19,000 is that the US has been, money printer go brr, has been printing 24/7. So as you can actually see, when we do account for the money supply, Bitcoin didn't break as euphoric into this cycle as we thought it did. And as you can see, we're already previously retesting the all-time high. This is something that we've never seen before, but this just really paints a picture that the US dollar is in a massive hyperinflationary event. And this is why I think it is a great idea not only to be able to quantify Bitcoin against something other than the US dollar, but if we do want to quantify Bitcoin against the US dollar, it's good to account for inflation in some of these charts, not an everyday chart. I do just think this is a interesting run through. And there we go. So now we know how to compare Bitcoin with other asset classes like the stock market, commodities, precious metals like gold, and we also know how to measure Bitcoin against the US dollar when we do account for inflation. So I hope you found some value in this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I love making these educational videos. If you don't know, I have a YouTube channel and I have a few playlists, but I have an educational playlist which currently has about 13 to 14 videos in there at this moment in time. I'm always looking to expand it, so if you did like this content, if you did want to check out my educational playlist and you did have a request for a video, for example, if you want me to teach you how to use a specific indicator, for example, like the squeeze mom I've got down here, I've already got videos on how to use both moving averages and EMA ribbons. So like I said, that educational playlist is filled with a bunch of gems. Hope you enjoyed this content. As always, cowboy out. Peace.